Okay, I should be live now. Hello, welcome to my second installment of my video blog as I'm cycling into Africa. So I'm in Foum El-Oued, which is near Layoun in Western Sahara. Uh, and okay, I'm just getting audio feedback. Just a second. Okay, so um, I'm here in Foum El-Oued, which is near Laayoune, which is the largest city in West Africa, which is a disputed territory which Morocco claims sovereignty over. So, if there's any authorities listening, I'm still in Morocco. I'm by a very noisy beach. The idea was to show the beautiful sunset behind, but if I walk that way, which I will near the end of the video, you'll see that it'll be problematically noisy and you won't really hear anything. So I'm just going to stick in this kind of quiet corner of the beach in this kind of abandoned town. My second choice for where I want to do it was near that nice looking abandoned building over there. I just got in here early this afternoon and then was online with a course for teachers in Kazakhstan. So I haven't had a chance to really ask around why the town appears to be so abandoned. There's not that many people around to ask, and the couple of people I've met don't seem to master French or Spanish or English particularly well. So I don't know. Maybe I'll find out why it's abandoned. Maybe not. Anyways, thanks for your interest in joining me. I'm gonna show a couple of photos and tell a couple of stories about the past week biking into the desert. So I'll animate some of the stories with some of the photos. So I'm just gonna pull up the photos that I've prepared. Always difficult judging multiple windows when you're working from a laptop on the road. Just a second here. And here we almost go. Okay. Okay, so since last week, I set out in Agadir, from Agadir, heading south uh, along the main road, the like one road that goes south into the rest of Africa. And the first like 100 or 200 kilometers, it wasn't so sparse yet. There were even a number of like beach towns, surf towns. Stopped at the town of Sidi Ifni for an unplanned extra day, trying to sort out stuff with authorization to science shows in Moroccan schools. Turns out that there's a lot of red tape here. In terms of like actually trying to do something for free in schools, it seems to be possibly the least welcoming country I've been to so far. Possibly seconded only by Finland. I'm just, I do not know why I cannot show. Okay, here's some photos. So heading south from Agadir, one of the nice things about going into that sparsely populated a part of the world, you can see the distances for like everywhere I'm gonna go to. Oh, yeah, for the next while. So I'm next to Laayoune. Laayoun's about 15 kilometers inland. So I've gone 600 kilometers or so from Agadir. Still five something to Dakhla or something, which is the largest city coming up in a while, like before I hit Mauritania. And I'm going to shuffle through a lot of pictures kind of quickly just to show how kind of barren and nothing there is. Although I was pleasantly surprised. Oh, there's a turtle crossing the road. I was pleasantly surprised it wasn't quite as empty as I expected. Oh, here's me collecting some sand stamps for microscope analysis later. And here's the school I was talking about. I was about 30 kilometers from Tiznit. And I decided I was kind of bummed out. My contacts here hadn't come through, putting me in touch with any schools in the area. So I just try and show up at schools and say, hey, look, I'm a science teacher from Paris, an ambassador for Science on Stage and Scientix, the two largest science teaching networks in Europe. I can do a free science show. Are you interested? And I get to this school, and already to find a teacher that spoke French was a bit of a challenge. But the French teacher came up, and they seemed almost scared that I was there. They said, "Oh, do you have an authorization?" I said, "No. How do I get one?" I said, "Oh, you need to go to the provincial education." I said, "Okay, I'll go there. I'll talk to people. Do you have any contact information?" "Oh, no, 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 no. But if you go into town, then you'll find it." So they wanted me to go back like 30 kilometers behind where I was going. And like this is just a random school. I had no interest in going back to if they didn't want to see me. So I decided to go to the next provincial capital on my just city. Went to the education office there. Um, was told the director doesn't work in the afternoon. It seems to be the kind of thing that like if you're the boss of everyone and no one's checking if you're there, why bother showing up kind of thing. Um, but then he'd call me back later that day, and then I was told to go to the like provincial political office to ask for the assistant governor, the call the pasha. Same thing. He doesn't work in the afternoons, but he'd call me back first thing the next day. So I decided to stick around the next day to sort things out, be able to like finally get the authorization to go into schools. But of course, no one calls me back for the whole day. Typical organization for here. I guess I just hit the road and figure it's their loss. I guess public schools here aren't interested in seeing me. So I'm trying to come up with more science busking that I can do on the streets. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting into a couple of private schools in Dakla. But I mean, that's an unfortunate thing about just how it is here. And if I'd known that, I might have chosen a more welcoming place to bike to than Morocco. Education-wise, a lot of the people are very nice. More views of City Ifni, last set of mountains to get to Gilmim, lots of desert, lots of desert, lots of desert. You see there's like no real shade around, so you see I'm nicely tan despite wearing 50 PDF SPF 50 SPF sunscreen all the time. More signs that indicate a couple of towns down the road. This one indicating all the way to Dakar. So, I mean, if I just keep on the same road, it's less than 1,700 kilometers, which sounds really close. Like if Mauritania ends up as barren as Morocco in terms of interesting activities, then I could be in Senegal in 2 weeks. But I already have some contacts lined up for there, so I'm optimistic things will go a little bit better. More desert. Yet more desert. Oh, a shipwreck that I passed this morning. Beautiful sunrise, more desert, more desert. It's kind of a recurring theme that's almost all I've seen the past week. Well, occasional camels. You can see there's like a camel well, a couple of camels crazy. More camels, some birds flying through the sky. And now we get to the interesting part, which is interesting places who have welcomed me. So I was in a village, Razumil, halfway between Tantan and Tarfaya, I think. And I was looking for a place to stay for the night. I saw this building with writing on it and an antenna. It looked kind of official. And there was a guy sitting on a chair in front. So I decided to ask him, "Do you know if there's any place I can camp here?" And he said, "Yeah, you can camp on the ground next to me." With one or two words of French. It was dormir. And I was like, wait, dormir. And he said, "Okay, you can sleep there." And after some reflection, he said, "Oh, there's a cafe where you could sleep inside." And I tried to ask him, but again, like with very few words of French or any language that I spoke, that he spoke, it was difficult to ask him, like, is it better there? Is it better here? But we walked down and the cafe was closed, so deal sold. That's where I was that night. Beautiful place where I camped another night, where they charge for camping cars, but bikes get to stay for free. And I met a German cyclist who shared dinner with me. So thanks, Rabba. That was great to have the company and the meal. And then more free food where I stayed in Mir left. my host, I reserved a place from booking because I don't know, I was tired and I wanted a place to stay indoors, I guess. I don't remember the circumstances, but he's not very good with computers. So I showed up and he was confused that I showed up, but he said, "Oh, I don't understand computers. Sometimes people reserve things and then they show up. But yeah, you're welcome. I'm barbecuing liver skewers for a friend tonight. There's enough to share. Do you want some?" So had a nice shared dinner with Brahim there. Um, this is a guy I met. I was biking down the road. He was at a construction site. He waves me over. I thought it was for like telling me where I was allowed to go or whatnot. But he had this small teapot on like some poles by the side of the road. He's like, "Oh, do you want tea?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd love tea." So I had tea with this friendly guy. I didn't catch his name. Same thing. Like I really need to learn more Arabic. I've spent maybe 30, 40 hours on Duolingo trying to learn it, but all I can say is things like George has a new garage door. Um, and it's not that useful here yet. Maybe another couple tens of hours will help. This is a guy. So I stopped to raise the seat on my bike. I don't know why I wanted it slightly higher that day. And the guy waves out of his truck with a loaf of bread, and he says, "Oh, pain," which is French for bread. And I was like, "Oh, okay, pain." And so I come over, and he invites me up, and then proceeds to make me tea on a stove, like next to the driver's seat, and then an omelet. And so we sat there and we had omelet and tea, and it was a great shared moment with Tiep, was what I think he said his name was. But again, kind of hard to tell what everyone's saying at any given time, but really nice guy. So gonna end with that photo. And then I said I'd show a couple of things on my bike tonight. Um, I don't know. I've talked a lot, so maybe I'll save like most details on the bike for later, but it's next to me, so I may as well show what my bike looks like. I'm just gonna switch to my second camera. Second camera. And let's stop sharing. Yeah, that camera's dirty. Better change to the other side cam. Okay. And note to self to clean my camera. Okay, so here's my bike. I've done maybe 50,000 kilometers or slightly more with it so far. I can't pin the video for that. Why can't I do that? I don't know. No. Okay, so now we see the video. So this is my bike. It's a Surly long haul trucker that I bought in 2017 for biking across Canada. And at the time, I decided that like I really wanted to buy a proper bike. It was big enough for me, and it was like a good bike that worked. And so I was looking at different models, and at the time, this wanted me to go with but they recently stopped making large frames, 26-inch wheels. So these are 26 rather than 28-inch wheels, and there are a couple of reasons why I wanted to get those. One is that they're more rigid because it's smaller, rigid. But also getting replacement parts is a lot easier in other parts of the world. I'd already biked through Patagonia with 28-inch touring wheels. It was a pain in the butt to get things like that. I had one inner tube that I had 13 patches on because I couldn't get new ones that would run. Let's see, two or three other quick things to mention the bike. You'll see the handlebars, a couple things that look funny. So this is the original gear shifter for the front derailleur there. So 3-speed friction shifter. But the back, this is a retrofit. You see on the other side, it doesn't have this metric flow one. That's because at the time this was sold, and this was a 2013 model that I bought on backlog in 2017. I missed out by like 2 years. They had their standard with an 8-speed at the back. and they changed it to 9 speed. And I switched to 8 speed because 8 speed chains are available even in weird parts of the world or like from corner hardware store, whereas things like 9 speed, 10 speed, 11 speed, all those narrower ones are the kind of like more exotic, fancy ones, which you could find easily online now, or more and more common in different stores. But also, and I'll go into this maybe sometime later if anyone asks me questions or wants to hear more about it. Um, but um, um, yeah, um, 8 speed works better. Oh, and I'm just realizing my mic died. Wow, this is like the worst live stream ever. Okay, so switching over to a second mic. Okay, so I've now switched over to a second mic and hopefully that should work. Um, anyways, yeah, so I was saying that's that's yeah, so that's probably all I want to show about my bike for now. Oh, and Schwalbe Marathon Plus tires, my favorite kind of tire. 2-inch wide ones this time. I usually go with thinner when there's less rough roads, although I've been amazed how good the roads have been here so far. And yeah, I think I'm gonna finish off there because I think I've talked enough. So I'm just gonna walk over to the sunset and finish off with the sunset just by the sea on the almost. The one guy just proves my point that this town is completely abandoned. There's at least one other person in this whole town. Uh, but with this beautiful view of the sunset and the noise of the waves and not being able to hear me and me being a little bit too far from my computer unattended, let's end on that note. So thank you for joining and thanks for your interest in what I'm up to. Please join me again next week, same time, unless I don't get internet access or, whatever thing like that. And if you want more photos in the meantime, check out my Instagram, instagram.com/myfavoriteexperiments. And I'll be trying to upload some photos reasonably regularly. So thanks again. Stay curious.